Hi everyone. Hope you are fine. Today we have a Microsoft product to review. So let's have a talk about on Microsoft Surface Pro 4. Design and display. Microsoft managed to up the device's screen size by a few hairs, from a straight 12 inches to this year's 12.3 inches, without affecting its footprint at all. In fact, the firm shaved more than half a millimeter off of its thickness, from 9.1 mm to 8.4 mm, all while fitting full-fat mobile processors. As for how this was done, the capacitive Windows button said goodbye, thus the extra room for that 0.3 of an inch in the display. Then, Microsoft brought the screen's optical stack, the series of sensors, diodes, and pixels beneath the glass even closer to the glass now, a key point of Microsoft's trademarked PixelSense screen technology. The display is thus incredibly responsive to touch, and the further sensitivity it brings to the stylus experience is huge. In tandem with the improved Surface Pen, the screen detects 1024 levels of pressure, even during a single stroke. Now, let's talk resolution. Even though it didn't have to, Microsoft increased the Surface Pro 4's resolution from 2160 x 1440, 216 ppi, or pixels per inch, to 2736 x 1824. That makes for a huge 267 ppi for the Surface Pro 4, which blows a key rival, the MacBook Air, 128 ppi for the 13-inch, out of the water and just barely beating out Apple's 12.9-inch iPad Pro at 264 ppi. More importantly, the new screen proves to be way more luminous and more color accurate than the Surface Pro 3 display at all brightness levels. This is obviously going to be a pretty big deal for any designers or artists that are looking to upgrade from the Wacom tablet and calibrated monitor combo. For the rest of us, this means more realistic looking movies and more vibrant photos and games. That's despite even thicker black bars sandwiching your favorite films in 16:9 and even more so for those in 21:9, or widescreen format, thanks to the 3:2 aspect ratio that remains from last generation. It's a fair concern for folks that watch plenty of movies and TV on a tablet. But fear not, workers, for you're the very reason Microsoft made this decision. The 3:2 aspect ratio is a middle ground between 16:9 and 4:3 that is ideal for both photo and design or drafting work, wherein 3:2 is much more common, as well as getting computational work done, given the extra vertical space. Surface Pen and type cover. In addition to the aforementioned 1024 levels of pressure sensitivity, the new and included Surface Pen is redesigned to feel more like a pencil. The stylus now has one flat side, as if a number 2 pencil had all but 2 of its angles rounded off. This version is even more comfortable to hold than the last. As a result, your index finger rests just above the main function button on the flat end. Secondly, the left side of the frame is coated with thin, powerful strip magnets that allow it to cling onto the tablet's left side. The age of stylus loops is over. The pen also sports a new, functional eraser button up top that does what it says on the tin, but has 3 more functions. In addition to opening OneNote with a single press, the button now takes a screenshot and then opens OneNote with a double press. Finally, a long press summons Cortana to help you out. Microsoft seems to have expertly weighted the Surface Pen to make it feel not much heavier than your average clickable pen, despite all of the tech inside. Plus, now Microsoft offers additional pen tips right out of the box. Coupled with Microsoft's PixelSense display, the duo makes for the best stylus experience we've had on a tablet yet for as little as we're wont to use it. While we're neither artists nor designers, the screen's superb palm detection and the accuracy and nuance of the pen tracking give us confidence that the Surface Pro 4 is Microsoft's best shot at luring in that crowd yet. These improvements pale in comparison with Microsoft's new and still not included type cover. This time around, Microsoft took a chiclet-style approach. This makes keeping track of which keys your fingers are on by feel much easier, and it allows for each key to be individually backlit. The new type cover is also thicker and far more rigid than before, allowing for deeper key travel and punchier feedback, not to mention a sturdier, quieter surface to type on that brings it so much closer to a true laptop keyboard. Microsoft also widened the touchpad and coated it in glass rather than plastic. Performance. Every performance score here, save for PC Mark 8 Home, shows a minor increase from the first unit I tested. It's a good sign that the Surface Pro 4 was already operating at its peak, and that only the battery needed fixing. The Surface Pro 4 bested the 2015 HP Spectre X360 in almost every test by roughly 25%. As for the 13-inch MacBook Air, its multi-core Geekbench 3, which tests CPUs primarily, score is plenty short of what the Surface achieved. Ultimately, don't expect to see a major difference between how any of these three machines perform day to day, though the MacBook Air will last way longer on a charge. If anything, you might get slightly better frame rates out of games played on the Surface Pro 4 than that 2015 Spectre X360. If you're curious, the Pro 4 runs Hearthstone, our go-to tablet testing game, without a hitch on its highest settings, even at an automatically adapted resolution. Plus, the color-calibrated display makes every element on the game's interactive playboards that much more distracting. Battery life. Tested on pre-production hardware that we were promised has been scrubbed of its battery woes, the Surface Pro 4 produced far better battery life results than at the onset. Unfortunately, they're still well below not only Microsoft's own claims, but what choice rivals are able to put up. While arguably the most harsh battery test in our lineup, PC Mark 8 Home battery saw the Pro 4 last 3 hours and 15 minutes, a marked 50% increase from before. Still, the Spectre X360 held out in that test for 4 hours and 38 minutes. Microsoft's tablet fared much better on our video playback test, lasting 5 hours and 15 minutes. That's enough to last you on most coast-to-coast US flights. In a similar test, the MacBook Air was able to stream 1080p video over Wi-Fi for a whopping 13 hours and 24 minutes. Though, that's thanks to a far lower resolution display and likely a larger battery. Regardless, Microsoft promises up to 9 hours of video playback, and these numbers aren't close. Sure, these figures are far better than last year's Surface Pro 3, despite the serious screen resolution bump, which should not be overlooked. But, they still can't hold a candle to neither Apple's leading laptop nor its top tablet, much less comparable Windows hybrids. Longevity is then about the only thing holding the Surface Pro 4 back from truly, honestly replacing your laptop or at least your MacBook Air specifically. Otherwise, the machine offers somewhat below average lasting power.